What we have here is a failure to communicate. Get a little chilly in here. Put my toque on. My toque. What you Americans call beanies. Okay, so what? We got Major Tom's engine cases kind of together here. We got his new cam. The dirty spots on the cam is just the packing grease. I left it on for now. I just have a used cam bearing in there for now. Well, you're just going to lay right in my way, aren't you, Mackie? Okay. Okay, so what we're doing here, and it's like, I don't know if I deleted it or not, but I did explain once. This bolt, or stud, this stud, these are your 3 alignment studs on your engine cases. Okay, so that's knucklehead, panhead, shovelhead, Evo solution. Changes up a bit on the Twinkies, but not much. Anyways, so I got these 3 in and I got them torqued. Then what I did was I don't want to do anything too drastic here. So I found myself top dead center through the timing hole. Now when I'm doing the breather gear, I get as exact a TDC as I can, right? Which would be right there. Maybe I'll just bring this in a little bit. No, not that way. Oh, that'd be the way. That'd be the way. The way. I'm trying hard not to touch this and change anything. But so I get my 3. I get them torqued. This is actually a Twinkie rod holder jig I use for cutting. Can you see that? Oh, can't see that. Yeah, it's a Twinkie rod holder jig that I use if I'm doing wrist pin bushings with the engine in the bike. Anyways, I was just using it because I could hold it. I clamp it down. I could hold it on TDC as I tweak in my wheel, right? Now I like this wheel. I got an S&S one here too. I like it too. It's a little simpler. But this one here I use for also dialing in cams, and dialing in cams is a little different because when you're doing a cam timing, you got to be right on the money, or you're not going to get the proper numbers. And like I say, cam timing, it's been quite a few years, but most of the cam timing in motorcycles starts at 53 degrees after bottom on the off the base circle of the cam. We'll go through that. We'll go through that base circle business. So, what was I going to show y'all? Well, this is for Tommy, anyways. This is going to show Tom. Now I have I have what I call a dummy bearing that I use. So, because when I split the cases, I destroyed his old bearing that was on this side of the case, not on that side of the case. So the old spacer, the old bearing, the old bearing races are in there, and then I just have my dummy that slides on. So I can just pull the cases back apart and have to wreck any bearings doing this. And so what we're doing here, and I'll double check this, make sure I didn't screw anything up. I might have to take that weird old camera out and bring it over. All right. So maximum crank breathing timing. All right. Where am I? Over here. Somewhere. Anyways, so what you do is you run your crank about 10 degrees before TDC, right? And then I'm going to check to see if where my breather gear hole is on the breather gear. That's why I did a mock-up assembly. And then I go 7 degrees after TDC. So where's my 7? Got my needle, number 6, number 7. Now what I can do here by having this clamp here is I can clamp this in place and play around if I wish. Then I'm looking over here at my breather gear to see if the breather hole is starting to open, and it is. So what you do is take, oh, I got these doubled up here. Take yourself a 2 thou feeler gauge. Jeez, that almost gave me 5 thou by accident. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stick my 2 thou feeler gauge in the breather hole where it wants to open. Now, okay, so I got nothing. It's a little dark in here. It's hard for me to see. Ooh, got lights there. Aha. And I just stick that 2 thou breather gear. Where that stops, it's where I'm about to open. She's a little flimsy. What I got? 15 degrees before TDC? No. It's right there. 10 degrees before TDC on my opening. Okay, so then I go over to 7 degrees after TDC. So let's go. Actually, I'm going to grab my little flashlight, which I got here. There we go. Now I can see it. Okay, so that's where she's just about to open right there. I think I knocked the wheel because I did this earlier and she was opening right at around 2 degrees before TDC. Anyways, this will give you the gist of it, and then I'll check my wheel. Actually, I'll check my wheel right now. So you want to be as accurate as possible. Yeah, I'm out a degree. Let's go there. Okay. Now, S&S tells you just look in the frickin' hole. But as a geek, I like to use a feeler gauge just to see where it is. But this is where I'm getting her right here. What am I at? It's about 9 degrees before TDC. And we want 10, right? To up to 7 degrees after, which should be right around there, and I can see the whole planer stay there. So I know that it's opening. Okay, let me grab this thing. The battery in this thing sucks. So I'll just show you this side. Now let's see if I can, let's see. Can we do this? Do I have coordination? Not much. Not much. There you go. Okay. So I'll just do this here. And you see the breather gear? You see where it's just starting to open? So if I go right there, I'm back at my 2 degrees. Oh, I was not a filmmaker in my past life. But that's what I got. I tested it twice before I started filming. So right about there, it's about 2 degrees. Now you can go as far as 10. Okay? And you can go as late as 7. And that's 7 degrees. But you see how that's quite open now? All right. So anyways, I got it. I checked it twice, and I got 7 degrees. Or I got 2 degrees before TDC. And you know what? That doesn't bother me. 2 degrees. It doesn't. I don't have to make it max. Now now the old geeks, right, like me, but some of my mentor racer dudes, for closing, they would go as much as 75 degrees. Where am I here? 30, 40, 50, 75 degrees for closing. S&S will go as much as 95, is it? This is 92 degrees. So they anywhere from 55 degrees anywhere from here to about 75 degrees. So, now these are the specs I use. I know guys that have opened these up too far, and what happens? You end up puking oil out of that crank breather, which I already showed you guys. So I don't like pushing it to 92, but I'll push it to 70 or 75 without a problem. Now, this thing is actually closing right there. What am I at? What am I at? I'm at about 60 some odd degrees. Now, the specs, both S&S and the old racer specs that I use, they both say 55 to 75 or 55 to 92. Now, this exhaust, I believe I'm going to open more because it's not staying open as long as I would like. All right. So that's 55 right there. Here's where it's closing, right there. Now, it's closing at 65. I could leave that. Or I could take out another 10 degrees and just have it scavenge that much better. The problem is, when you're... these engines don't like to hold too much oil in the crank while they're running. So the problem is when you do, you're actually eating up your horsepower and everything, because it's got to fight all this stuff, and it causes other problems like too much crank pressure, and then you blow gaskets and everything else. That is not what blew his gasket. That is not why he was leaking. He was leaking out of his base gaskets, but that's not why. Some monkey was in here pretending to know how to install things. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, and if this monkey happens to be any of my friends, my brothers, please forgive me. It's just like, ooh. But at least it wasn't full of silicone like that other one. So that's it for that. That's what I'm doing on that. And the other thing, oh, I didn't plug you back in. See, that's the thing I got to watch about this battery on this camera. Pull her out. I got to make sure she gets plugged in, because the thing doesn't last worth a dang. Well, the other thing, I'll just pull out this nice cam. This is his new cam. That's why it's covered in packing grease. It's EV27. Andrews, EV27. Oh, and even mocking it up, I actually put the thrust washer on, and then the old spacer that was on there. But some weirdo had it the other way around. They had the spacer and the thrust washer. It didn't work that way. I actually thought the bearing was spinning in the case at first. And what the hell's going on here? Thank God it wasn't, because that would have wrecked the case. I would have been deemed the case not correct. So what we're going to do here is not have a failure to communicate. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get into this case. I wonder if I can set this up just a little. Hey, where'd you go? What you doing? I probably had it perfect and had to screw it around, right? That would be me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this down. And like, remember the shovel head one I showed you? It was kind of more oval. That's something else you want to do. You want to get this thing square from here. There's so many thou away from here. Actually, see this here? I want to bring it right even up. Oops, I don't know if you can see that. How about I do this? Can you see that? Anyways, what I want to do is, son of a gun. Son of some kind of gun. Oh, is that going to work? Okay. So yeah, so what I want to do is I want to have the end of this hole even with the end of the gear hole. I want them together. And so what you do is you square this off to how many degrees you want it, and then bring it up square even with it. And that way, I mean, look at the breathing tech on here. Huh? You want the full aspect of this. And you want as much as this opening as soon as it can, closing as late as it can for your scavenging, which helps you keep the crank vented, not building up pressure, not eating your horsepower, or blowing gaskets when you like to do 100 miles an hour for 5 hours on the highway, as some of us do. I'm not saying I did that. Let me see. I get this. I'm not saying I did that. Okay, maybe once or twice. Or 3 times. So I'm still undecided about these wheels. They feel fine. I think we're just going to leave them. We're going to leave them. Tommy's on a budget, so. All right. So that's what we're doing with that. And then over here. I know, eh? Yeah, crazy. Ah! There you go. There's a jug. Now, what I could do is I have the coarse hone done on Tommy's jugs, but I didn't do the fine hone yet, or the finishing hone, just for the simple fact that I needed to bead blast them too. So I did the coarse hone, then I took them and I put them in my bead blaster and got all that ugly, or almost all that ugly paint off. Oh, I just saw some I missed. Okay, I'll have to do it one more time. You see, I missed some of that ugly black barbecue paint that was on here. Where is it? Where is it? Ah, there it is. You see it? Ah. The flying flip off. I'm going backwards. This whole thing's backwards. There, you see. I can't leave that. That's too much. If it was a speck, it'd be fine. So what I got is I got this mandrel. Woo. And I'm just going to run some 120 clover on her. Like I said before, it's hard to get. And this mandrel goes on. Now this is good for big bore and for stock bore. So I just go like that. And I sit here to lean my thumbs on it. And then I go wash it and I look for my high and low spots. That's basically all that is. I don't know why everybody doesn't have one of these, but not everybody uses them if they do. Because I've seen a lot of warped ones that came out of shops. I've seen a lot of warped ones that came right out of shops. And this one, I expect it. Well, once I'll do a short. Once I do this and do my first wash, we'll see the high and low spots. So that's what I'm doing today, or right now. I'm gonna clearance that breather gear closing a bit better. And get her, like I say, I'm gonna go to 75 degrees. Yeah. I've seen guys open those things up too much. I'm not saying I wouldn't go to 92 degrees. But I'm going to go to 75 degrees on the closing of that. And I'm going to bring it out so that it's flush with the breather hole. Who's that knocking on my door back there? Sounds like short people. Yeah. Anyways, that's what's going on there. Oh. All right. Cheers.